I've been on already. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and welcome back. Welcome back. What is your problem? Sorry about that, guys. Good morning, good morning, good morning. You know, it's morning. Interruptions, noise, and all types of things will be in the background. I deeply apologize for that. Good morning, everyone. R. Kelly does voodoo. This is real life, guys. He does voodoo, y'all. I told you. Cash Jones said it, that he does voodoo. He used to make the girls take their pee. He would collect pee. She said in her book that he would collect urine and then give it to the voodoo doctor. Okay? So, as we know that there was some news from stating that R. Kelly is R. Kelly does santeria. So, okay. Let me I hate this crap on the side here. Let me see here. Okay, so let's see how that is now. Okay, can you guys see the screen? And these ad pop-ups are so annoying. So the title is R. Kelly's racist Brooklyn cellmate, who threatened to kill Democratic Congress members after January 6th riot. He created a comic book showing him and R&B singer doing yoga. They were doing yoga together in this little piece. And the guy's name is Brendan Hunt, and he's 37 years old, and he was convicted for setting off riots and threatening men in Congress, senators. It says that he created a comic book of the pair detailing them doing yoga together and talking about music and voodoo, which they failed to mention. They failed to mention that. They said that Hunt has been Kelly's cellmate at the MDC, and Brendan Hunt has been found guilty. He was found guilty in April after he threatened to kill Democratic Congress members following the January 6th Capitol riots. So what happened was that Hunt's attorney went and filed the drawings to the Brooklyn Federal Court as part of his request to be released on time served. And his sentencing is set for November 22nd. So he's up for sentencing as well in the next coming weeks. So they put this in kind of to show that, he's changed a little bit in the past few months that he's been locked up. It's hysterical. I think this is hysterical. Um, Now, in the comic book, Hunt dubbed his cellmate R. Celly and drew the pair discussing music and doing yoga together, as well as voodoo. They failed to mention this. Now, Hunt shares the cell with R. Kelly for 2 weeks in June. And he filed the drawings with the Brooklyn Federal Court as part of his request to be released for time served ahead of his November 22nd sentencing. So the drawings in Hunt's prison comics specifically detail a scenario between him and R. Kelly during their time together. And it begins with the both of them describing their different tastes of music. And Hunt not being aware of who R. Kelly is or what his songs are. And R. Kelly replies to him like, "I'm the greatest R&B star in human history. How can you not know of R. Kelly?" And then Hunt claims that he never heard of R. Kelly's music, including the popular songs such as Ignition or I Believe I Can Fly. R. Kelly's like, "I'm the greatest R&B star in human history. Millions of babies have been conceived to my records." He let him know he's that special. He does great music that makes people want to fucking have babies. That's how great he is. Okay? Then says, "Well, have you ever heard of the band Megadeth or Slayer or Dying Fetus?" He asks R. Kelly, and R. Kelly's like, "I guess I see your point. Like, I don't know your music, you don't know my music, whatever." So Kelly noticed that he was holding a book and he was reading something that says Yoga 101 and asked what he's looking at it for. So R. Kelly asks the guy, like, "What is that book over there? What are you reading over there?" And the guy responded, Mr. Hunt responded and said, "It's some weird yoga thing my lawyer sent us. She said you and me should do these exercises together." And that he had added that the pair of them would look like a couple of idiots while doing it. I need something to drink. Give me a second. Oh, he. Sorry about that, guys. I had to step over and get something to drink. And hello. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Ty. Good morning, 100. Good morning, Life. Good morning, Mom Life. Who else is in the building? Fat Boy. Hey, Isha. Tabitha. What's up, Tabitha? Good morning, Tabitha. Chiqui. This 504 girl. Good morning, ladies. Patricia. Good morning. Chicago. Good morning. And Grant News he down. The strawberry one is not strawberry. So it says that so Hunt and Kelly, they get into the warrior pose with Kelly's I Believe I Can Fly playing in the background. I feel very vulnerable right now, Kelly says, while they shift into downward dog position. As he's going down, he said he felt in a very vulnerable position. Get on your knees, all fours, get down, get down, get down. Don't drop the soap, Kelly. Don't drop the soap, Kelly. He said he felt vulnerable in that position. Like somebody could just come right back and smack him right in the back of the booty hole. Lord. A few days after their workout, the new workout pals have maintained a heavily muscled figure. So, oh yeah, Kelly says, wait till the guys in the yard see our gains. This is going to be awesome. R. Selly, the now hunky Hunt, replies. The R. Kelly comic was not the first that Hunt made, as he also detailed the story involving another inmate named Garcia. The strip is called Our Hero Discovers the Secrets of Santeria.
Bro, it gets so intense. It's just the first few episodes are booty cheeks. That's why I don't want to watch it.
It says the strip is called Our Hero Discovers the Secrets of Santeria and shows Garcia worshipping an idol called Oshram, that he feeds bananas. Hunt's attorneys filed the motion to the court claiming that he was a different man and praised his artistic expression as a form of rehabilitation, putting his artistic talents to work. Okay, so it was about this guy named Garcia. It wasn't about R. Kelly. I got confused.
I didn't know who she really was when I
Hunt's attorney filed the motion to the court claiming that he was a different man, and that his artistic expression as a form of rehabilitation for him, and putting his artistic talents to work, that he created a prison comic strip, which has been enjoyed by many. And we offer a few episodes. Here are Exhibits F, the motion read. So that's what that was. Okay. Let's see these comic strips. Okay, so this is the one with him and R. Kelly. And he's talking about prison comics, get fit. Too funny. Like they're doing that. I can't see right now what it says. Let me see. Wait. Let me see if I could. So they working out. R. Kelly's getting nervous about bending over. He's feeling uncomfortable. And I thought it was about R. Kelly doing voodoo. But I guess the other comic, which is this one here, is not with R. Kelly. I thought it was. My bad. I'm going to have to change the name, the title. But this one is about another guy named Garcia who talks about Santeria. And Santeria is voodoo. So I thought this comic strip was about R. Kelly. My bad. I have to change the title. But he made a comic strip for him and R. Kelly being good buddies in jail, so as a person who wanted to destroy people's lives and kill people, he's sitting there with R. Kelly, who abused people, and I guess they both kind of learned off of each other, you know. I think that's good. I mean, at least you know that R. Kelly's mental health isn't deteriorating. He had somebody that kept him in good company, you know what I mean? Yes, he got him bent over in his favorite position. Yes, he does. He does. He does. Ave Maria. Right, he got nervous. He got nervous because of the fact that, he felt vulnerable. He don't really like to be in that position, I guess, only when there's a woman behind him. I don't know. That might be the case. That is so funny. So this one here talks about the Santeria, the doing of the voodoo. This guy Garcia talks about voodoo. And this is his cellmate. That was R. Kelly's cellmate. That's R. Kelly's cellmate, shall I say. As Brendan Hunt. So, hold on. Uh-oh. Oh, okay. My bad. Guys, if you are not members to the Divas, the Badass Divas Club, my book read club, please join the membership. It's $1.99 a month, and you get to get badges. You get to use emojis in the chat or in the comments section. Those are little perks, and we will be reading books, which I will get into. Hopefully this weekend we'll get into Lizette's book. Okay, there's been a lot of things going on with the book, and I kind of felt like it needed to smash down a little bit, die out with all the drama behind the scenes with the book and everything. And I respect Lizette's wishes to not read it out loud online, and it's only to my members only. Hey, and I did a little commercial, guys. So just remember, join now. Membership only $1.99 a month, and you can hang out with me and all our private members to read along and have discussions on different types of books. Oh, you don't know how to join, Cheeky? You just go to the join where it says join on underneath my name or next to my name in my channel. You have to go to the channel. Oh shit. So I had got some news last night or this morning, I think it was this morning, about Michael Williams. So the first thing that happened with Michael Williams is that they put in a notice for the Assistant United States Attorney, Nadia Shihata, that from this point forward, she's added as counsel in the above captioned manner. So Ms. Shihata will be the United States of America. She will be the attorney in Michael Williams' case. As we know, Michael Williams will be sentenced November 17th. That is coming up, guys, in the next 6 days. And they put out, wait, where is, hold on. This is just a notice of appearance. Okay, hold on. Where is my other page? Wait a minute.
What's this?
Oh, I'm missing something. Hold on here.
Have you ever treated a case of acetone poisoning?
Most small tests are something like pancakes.
I did testing on the coffee cup that no more Bacon's carbon 99.
Is there a working theory?
I think Max Evans poisoned Nolan and left him in the desert the night of the lightning storm, and I think Isabel Evans was in on it. I know it sounds like a reach, but
Well, it'd take gallons of acetone to poison someone. Did you know that? Trust me, I understand looking for explanations when things just seem too outrageous to be true. You know, I was struck by lightning. You are new and tenacious, and so do you. This time reasonable. Michael got it.
Okay, there we go. I got it now. All right, I had it all together. It was mixed up, my paperwork. Sorry, guys.
On to the good stuff. Happy birthday.
So, this was written yesterday.
my father used to buy his perfume.
And it's for, as I said, United States versus Michael Williams. Okay. And it says, Dear Judge Donnelly, the government respectfully submits this letter in advance of the sentencing of defendant Michael Williams. Williams or the defendant. Scheduled for November 17, 2021 at 12 p.m. As set forth below, the defendant's applicable guidelines range of imprisonment is 60 to 63 months imprisonment. In his sentencing memorandum filed on November 8th of 2020, the defendant requests that the court impose the statutory minimum of 60 sentence, the minimum sentence of 60 months imprisonment. And for the reasons set forth below, particularly given the serious nature of the conduct of conviction and the context in which it was committed, the court should impose a significant term of imprisonment above the applicable guidelines range. Then it talks about the background. And it says that the offense conduct, part one, the background, which is A, the offense conduct. In the early morning hours on June 11th of 2020, the defendant maliciously set fire to a vehicle, destroying it in order to intimidate and threaten a victim witness in a case pending before this court, hereinafter Jane Doe and her family. As the court is aware, on June 20th of 2019, a grand jury in the Eastern District of New York returned an indictment charging Sylvester Kelly with racketeering involving predicate racketeering acts as to 5 different women and 4 Mann Act violations. Then it says, see United States versus R. Kelly. Now, on subsequent days, the grand jury returned superseding indictments, including on March 12, 2020, when the grand jury returned a third superseding indictment against Kelly. Among the charges against Kelly in the third superseding indictment were offenses that carried a 10-year mandatory minimum, sentence based on Kelly's relationship with Jane Doe. Knowledgeable of the investigation and prosecution against Kelly, as well as Jane Doe's cooperation with the government. The defendant, a relative of an individual who briefly acted as Kelly's publicist, which is individual 1. Okay, so as well as Jane Doe's cooperation with the government, the defendant, a relative of an individual who briefly acted as Kelly's publicist as individual 1, engaged in the conduct of conviction to intimidate and threaten Jane Doe with the intent to prevent her from cooperating with the government's investigation and, as a result, significantly interfering with the case against R. Kelly.
Why do you care what I think?
Well, that was a question.
Now, specifically, on the evening of June 10, 2020, through the early hours of June 11, 2020, the defendant and his stepson traveled in the defendant's GMC Yukon from the vicinity of his residence in Valdosta, Georgia, to a house in the area of Florida where Jane Doe was living at the time. Surveillance video from a gas station at a Pilot Travel Center in Valdosta, Georgia, shows that the defendant and his stepson filled the car's fuel tank as well as 2 red containers with gasoline that they placed in the back of his car before making the lengthy drive to Florida. After arriving at Jane Doe's house at approximately 2:50 a.m. on June 11th, 2020, the defendant and his stepson, using the gasoline that they had purchased en route to Jane Doe's home as an accelerant, set fire to a black SUV, the vehicle, parked outside of the home where Jane Doe and her family were staying. As seen on surveillance footage from the vicinity of the crime scene, after setting fire to the car at approximately 2:53 a.m., the defendant then fled the scene at a high rate speed. Subsequently, the defendant drove back to Valdosta, Georgia. So his dumb ass did all of that and went back and drove back to Georgia. I'm gonna let the reader rest. I'm gonna let the reader read the rest. I got on my throat. Let me see if I can do it from here.
One individual 1 was herself involved in a scheme with Kelly's associate Donnell Russell to intimidate another of Kelly's victims to stop speaking publicly about Kelly and withdraw a civil lawsuit against Kelly. See United States v. Donnell Russell, 20, County Route 427, AMD. As part of this intimidation scheme, individual 1 confronted one of Kelly's victims, who was subsequently referred to as Jane Doe No. 6 in the Kelly case, while she was in New York for the premiere of the Lifetime documentary Surviving R. Kelly. As Jane Doe No. 6 testified at the Kelly trial, during a conversation which occurred at an Applebee's restaurant, individual 1, who was with a man individual 1 referred to as her security guard, among other things, told her she worked for Kelly and showed Jane Doe No. 6 nude photographs of herself and advised her that Kelly planned on releasing these photographs if Jane Doe No. 6 and the other accusers moved forward with the documentary. See Kelly T. 2315-16. Further, as Jane Doe No. 6 and her mother each testified in Kelly, the male stood in a corner of the restaurant and each saw that he had a gun under his jacket. Kelly T. 2314-15, T. 2399. Notably, during an interview with law enforcement, Individual 1 advised that she was with Williams at the Applebee's where this conversation occurred. In addition, flight records show that Williams and Individual 1 flew together from Fort Lauderdale, Florida to LaGuardia Airport in Queens, New York, earlier that day, December 4, 2018, on Spirit Airlines, and both left New York the following day, December 5, 2018. See Kelly GX 637A and 637B. 3. At the time the defendant committed the arson, 4 adults, including Jane Doe, and 2 children were inside of the home. After discovering that the vehicle was on fire, the family made multiple calls to 911. One of the adults reported to law enforcement, in part and in substance, that upon hearing an explosion, he ran outside of the house and saw an individual fleeing from the scene of the fire, whose arm appeared to be lit on fire. During review of the crime scene, fire investigators determined that an accelerant was used to set fire to the vehicle. At the scene, investigators discovered a red container consistent with those seen in the Pilot Travel Center surveillance footage, as well as a black hooded sweatshirt with damage to one of the sleeves consistent with a sweatshirt worn by one of the 2 individuals, the defendant and his stepson, captured in the Pilot Travel Center surveillance footage. The vehicle, which was rented in Florida by Jane Doe's father from Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Enterprise, 2 sustained substantial damage as the result of the arson. See Exhibit A. Significantly, fire investigators also determined that accelerant was present along some or all of the outside perimeter of the home. As discussed in more detail below, the government's investigation revealed that, among other things, the defendant used his Google accounts to conduct research in preparation for, and to avoid detection of, his criminal activity by, a. looking up Jane Doe's residence multiple times online both before and shortly after he committed the charged arson, b. viewing multiple YouTube videos related to Jane Doe, as well as visiting several websites about women who had made allegations against Kelly and news about Kelly's case, c. searching websites that contained the statutory language for several of the same charges filed against Kelly, including transportation of minors, coercion and enticement, and racketeering, d. researching whether one could travel to Florida without a license plate, e. looking up the extradition laws of various countries, f. researching the laws and penalties related to federal witness intimidation and witness tampering statutes, g. searching for where he could buy a custom machine gun, and h. gathering information about how fertilizer and diesel fuel bombs work. See PSR paragraph 14. B. The defendant's arrest and guilty plea. On August 11, 2020, the defendant was arrested on a complaint at a hotel in Pompano Beach, Florida, located in the Southern District of Florida. At the time of his arrest, a consent search of the hotel room where the defendant was staying revealed a 9mm Hi-Point handgun with an obliterated serial number that contained 9 rounds of ammunition inside. The handgun contained 1 round in the chamber and the remaining 8 rounds in the magazine. The gun was in a black holster located in a black Armor All bag. 2 Enterprise is a business that operates in interstate commerce and whose headquarters is located outside of Florida and New York. 4. On September 23, 2020, a grand jury sitting in the Eastern District of New York charged the defendant in a 2-count indictment with witness tampering, in violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 1512, b. 1 Count 1, and arson, in violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 844, I Count 2, the indictment. On April 19, 2020, the defendant pleaded guilty before this court to Count 2 of the indictment. 2. Sentencing guidelines range and applicable statutory terms of imprisonment. As set forth in the Pre-Sentence Investigation Report, PSR, the Probation Department, probation, has determined that the defendant has an adjusted offense level of 26 based on the following. Base offense level, Section 2K1.4 A124. Plus, offense committed to conceal another offense, Section 2K1.4 B1 plus 2. Total, 26. PSR paragraphs 22 through 27. Given a total adjusted offense level of 23 due to a 3-point reduction for early acceptance of responsibility, PSR paragraphs 29 through 31, and a criminal history category of 2, PSR paragraph 109, probation has calculated the defendant's advisory guidelines imprisonment range to be 51 to 63. However, given his conviction on Count 2 of the indictment, the defendant faces a statutory minimum sentence of 60 months imprisonment, resulting in an applicable guidelines range of 60 to 63 months imprisonment.
Yeah.
PSR paragraph 109.3. 3. The plea agreement executed by the parties in this case estimates that the applicable guidelines range is 60 to 71 months imprisonment based on the government's calculation that the defendant's criminal history places him in criminal history category 3. This calculation was premised on the separate treatment of sentences imposed on the defendant in 2004 and 2006. Specifically, in 2004 and 2006, the defendant's probation was revoked and he consequently received amended sentences of 11 years confinement and 5 years confinement, respectively, related to prior convictions for burglary and grand theft in Florida. Depending on the circumstances under which these sentences were imposed, each amended sentence could be counted separately under the guidelines, which is what is reflected in the plea agreement. As set forth in the PSR, as it is unclear from the records when the defendant committed the conduct noted above, it is unclear if there was an intervening arrest, and per USSG 4A1.2, the two cases are being treated as a single sentence. PSR 37. Further, probation has advised that they have not yet received the requested records which could provide additional information relevant to these amended sentences. PSR 37. Absent the additional requested information, or sufficient information of the relevant facts regarding these convictions from the defendant, regarding the 2004 and 2006 amended sentences prior to the defendant's sentencing in this case, the 5.2 discussion. It is well settled law that a sentencing court should consider all of the 3553A factors to determine whether they support the sentence requested by a party. In so doing, it may not presume that the guidelines range is reasonable. It must make an individualized assessment based on the facts presented. Gall v. United States, 552 U.S. 38, 49-50, 2007, citation and footnote omitted. Title 18, United States Code, Section 3553A provides, in part, that in imposing sentence, the court shall consider 1. The nature and circumstances of the offense and the history and characteristics of the defendant, and 2. The need for the sentence imposed. A. To reflect the seriousness of the offense, to promote respect for the law, and to provide just punishment for the offense. B. To afford adequate deterrence to criminal conduct, and C. To protect the public from further crimes of the defendant. As set forth in further detail below, the Section 3553A factors plainly warrant a significant above guidelines sentence. A. Nature and circumstances of the offense. Here, the nature and circumstances of the defendant's conduct are nothing short of egregious. First, notwithstanding the defendant's description of his actions as a grave mistake, def mem. At 2, the cold and calculated manner in which the defendant carried out the arson cannot be ignored. The defendant's conduct was not done on a whim or under stress, rather, it was cold, calculated, and premeditated. As discussed above, a search of the defendant's Google accounts revealed that prior to committing the arson, the defendant clearly researched Jane Doe. For example, on April 10, 2020, the defendant searched the address of the home where Jane Doe was living on multiple occasions, and in May 2020, the defendant viewed multiple YouTube videos about Jane Doe. The defendant also considered ways in which he could avoid detection after committing his crime by, for example, removing or otherwise concealing his license plate, for using one of his Google accounts to. Government does not object to probation's calculation of the defendant's criminal history category. For photographs of the defendant's car from toll plazas on the route between Georgia and Florida late in the early morning of June 11, 2020, reflect that the defendant did, in fact, make the drive to and from Florida without a license plate. Significantly, a license plate reader in Georgia captured Williams GMC Yukon in Hahira, Georgia, earlier in the evening on June 10, 2020, at approximately 7:25 p.m., with its rear license plate clearly. 6. Search on April 13, 2020, can you drive in Florida without a tag as long as you have insurance on your car, or by potentially fleeing the country, using another Google account to search for countries that don't have extradition with the United States on June 7, 2020 and June 9, 2020. Prior to committing the crime of conviction, the defendant even conducted an online search for where can I buy a .50 custom machine gun. At every stage of this planning, the defendant had an opportunity to abandon his intentions. Notwithstanding, he drove approximately 225 miles over several hours between Valdosta, Georgia, and Jane Doe's home in Florida to carry out his crime, stopping on the way to purchase 2 containers of gasoline which he used to carry out the arson, and, as reflected in Williams' receipts for that evening, snacks including Lifesavers, chocolate chip cookies and 4 cans of Red Bull for the long journey. Further, the callous nature of the defendant's conduct cannot be overstated. The defendant not only drove to Jane Doe's home in the middle of the night and set fire to the vehicle, but, most disconcerting, the fire investigators also discovered accelerant surrounding the perimeter of the house. The presence of accelerant around the perimeter of the house shows that, but for being interrupted by one of the perpetrator's arms mistakenly being set aflame while setting fire to the vehicle, the defendant's plan also included arson of the house in which Jane Doe and her family were staying. If the defendant had succeeded in setting fire to the house, it would have no doubt resulted in additional destruction of property but, more significantly, could have led to tragic loss of life. His actions reflect that, at best, he gave no regard to the safety of Jane Doe, her family, and that of the emergency personnel, who responded to the scene and would have had to tackle a house fire if the defendant's plan was fully executed or worse, intentionally sought to cause substantial harm or even death to one or more individuals. The fear instilled in Jane Doe and her family upon discovering the fire outside can be readily heard on the multiple 911 calls pleading for the fire department to come as soon as possible to the house. In particular, during the more than 10-minute wait for the firefighters to reach the scene, Jane Doe's mother, who had been sleeping when her son alerted her to the fire, can be heard becoming increasingly frantic, terrified that the flames from the vehicle were starting to reach the rear of another car, which was parked directly in front of a section of the house, and she strongly feared that the other car would explode and cause the house to catch fire. On the call, Jane Doe's mother can be heard telling the 911 operator that her grandchildren, whose cries can be heard in the background of the 911 calls, were in the house, and they were unsure if it was safe to remain in the house given the fire risk. Crime scene photographs reflect that the heat and flames from the vehicle did in fact begin to melt the back of the sedan parked directly in front of the house, the damage getting dangerously close to the vicinity of the car's fuel tank. See Exhibits B and C. The danger that the house would catch fire if flames from the cars approached was especially visible, demonstrating that Williams removed the rear license plate before he traveled to Jane Doe's house in an attempt to avoid detection by law enforcement. 7. Acute here given that fire investigators discovered accelerant had been placed around the perimeter of the home. The defendant also gave no regard to the safety of his 20-year-old stepson who he recruited to engage in this serious crime with him. Though the defendant's sentencing submission attempts to emphasize Williams' dedication to his family and his role as a father figure to his stepchildren, Williams' decision to entangle his stepson in this dangerous criminal activity belies claims that he both acts as a proper role model and has the best interests of those around him in mind. In addition, the search of the defendant's Google accounts revealed that on June 15, 2020, just 4 days after the date of the arson, he again searched the address of the residence, suggesting a possible intention of his returning to Jane Doe's home. Disturbingly, a review of the defendant's Google accounts further revealed that on June 21, 2020, after the defendant had already carried out the arson, the defendant searched for fertilizer and diesel fuel and subsequently visited websites titled How Do Fertilizer Bombs Work? Detonation properties of mixtures of ammonium nitrate-based fertilizers and fuels, and why fertilizer can be an explosive mixture. Next, standing alone, the defendant's act of setting fire to the vehicle was serious. However, the defendant's motive behind the arson, preventing or otherwise altering Jane Doe's testimony through intimidation and retaliation in order to obstruct the government's case against Kelly, cannot and should not be ignored. The evidence of the defendant's intentions in committing this crime is apparent. As a preliminary matter, the defendant was clearly aware of not only the government's investigation and prosecution of Kelly, but of Jane Doe's connection to the case as a potential witness. On or about December 20, 2019, the defendant accompanied Individual 1 to a voluntary interview with federal agents related to the government's investigation of Kelly. In or about January 2020, Jane Doe began cooperating with federal law enforcement. Several news outlets thereafter reported that Jane Doe was cooperating with federal law enforcement. Jane Doe also maintained a presence on social media in which she publicly discussed how Kelly physically and mentally abused her. 5 The government's investigation revealed that on May 23, 2020 and May 25, 2020, prior to the defendant committing the arson, the defendant visited several websites about female individuals who had made allegations against Kelly. He also searched Surviving R. Kelly News and R. Kelly News. As noted above, the defendant had also done multiple searches specifically related to Jane Doe. 5 The government's investigation also revealed that individual number 1, who was also present when the defendant was arrested, had also previously warned Jane Doe's parents to keep Jane Doe from continuing to speak publicly about Kelly, stating, among other things, that it might be wise for you to protect your daughter from heartache she's gonna endure through this and after, and why. All may want to think about that because right now you got Jane Doe out here looking crazy. Honestly. CPSR paragraph 4. 8. Moreover, the defendant's own conduct shortly after his crimes reveals his motive behind the arson. Tellingly, on June 28, 2020, after having committed the arson, the defendant conducted a search for witness intimidation and case law for tampering with a witness and visited websites laying out the statutory language and penalties of Title 18, United States Code, Sections 1512, witness tampering, and 1513, witness retaliation. And on July 9, 2020, the defendant visited websites that contained the statutory language for Title 18, United States Code, Sections 2423, Transportation of Minors, 2422, Coercion and Enticement, 2421a, Promotion or Facilitation of Prostitution, and 1962, Racketeering. 6 In addition, at the time of his arrest, pursuant to a consent search of the hotel room where the defendant was arrested, law enforcement discovered a red notebook containing 2 pages with entries citing legal definitions, including an entry that read 1. Tampering with a witness, victim, or an informant. 18 U.S. Code 1512. The evidence is clear, therefore, that this was not a simple case of arson. The defendant used this dangerous, and potentially deadly, intimidation tactic in order to prevent Jane Doe's cooperation with the government and testimony at trial. B. History and characteristics of the defendant and need for deterrence. Williams' criminal history also warrants a significant above-guidelines sentence. His recent criminal activity was in no way aberrational. He has a lengthy criminal history that dates back to his first arrest in 1998 as a minor, much of which is not reflected in his criminal history points. CPSR paragraphs 32 through 44. The defendant's criminal activities include, among other things, multiple convictions for burglary, grand theft, fraudulent use of identification documents, fraudulent use of a credit card, as well as additional arrests for other violations of the law. ID. Moreover, the defendant violated his probation on multiple occasions, resulting in increased sentences. ID. After each arrest, conviction, and term of imprisonment, the defendant had an opportunity to choose a law-abiding life. He did not do so. Indeed, even after being sentenced to lengthy terms of imprisonment, including terms of imprisonment of 5 years and 11 years, the defendant escalated to the serious criminal conduct for which he has been convicted. Not only has the defendant continually engaged in criminal activity generally, prior to committing the instant offense, he was no stranger to schemes using intimidatory tactics to threaten Kelly's victims. As noted above, Williams acted as a security guard during a previous scheme to intimidate Jane Doe No. 6 during the meeting at the Applebee's, where he was seen armed with a gun, when individual 1 threatened Jane Doe No. 6 with exposure of compromising photographs because of her participation in the Surviving R. Kelly documentary. Significantly, even up until the moment of his arrest, the defendant was again brazenly violating the law by having in his hotel room a loaded firearm, notably with an obliterated serial number, after having been 6. Kelly was, in fact, charged with a violation of Section 2421, not Section 2421a. 9. Convicted of a felony, and as noted above, had even previously researched how to acquire a machine gun. 7. Given the defendant's flagrant and consistent failure to follow the law, the defendant claims that he now looks forward to putting this past chapter of his life behind him and becoming an upstanding and contributing member of society. Def. MEM. At 2 rings hollow, and an above guidelines sentence is warranted in order to adequately deter the defendant from continued illegal conduct. In addition, a significant sentence is not only necessary to deter the defendant, but also all the would-be arsonists, as well as all those who would seek to intimidate or harm witnesses in order to obstruct investigations and court proceedings. C. Reflect the seriousness of the offense, promote respect for the law, and provide just punishment for the offense. The judicial system cannot function if individuals turn to obstructive tactics and serious crimes in order to pervert the course of justice, or if witnesses have to fear interference or retaliation if they come forward. As the court is aware, the Kelly case involved charges of a particular sensitive nature. Victims, particularly those of crimes related to sexual assault, are often reluctant to come forward given the trauma and stigma associated with publicly discussing their experiences. Here, Jane Doe's trauma was compounded by the frightening experience of having someone come to her home in the middle of the night and set fire to a car in her driveway, as well as the fear that others could try to similarly retaliate against her. If victims and witnesses are concerned that this type of conduct will not be adequately punished, it could chill victims from outcrying and stall investigations due to a lack of cooperation from witnesses. The negative effect on the criminal justice system cannot be overstated, and this type of conduct cannot be tolerated. Under the law, a significant sentence above the applicable guidelines range, a range which does not account for this aspect of the defendant's conduct, therefore, is necessary in order to clearly reflect the seriousness of the offense, promote respect for the law, and to provide just punishment. D. Protection of the public from further crimes of the defendant. Finally, a significant above guidelines sentence is necessary in order to protect the public from the defendant. As discussed above, the defendant's conduct of conviction reflected a complete disregard for the safety of others and a likely intent to cause. 7. During a post-arrest interview, after waiving his Miranda rights, Williams stated that, while the gun found in the hotel room was not his, he may have moved it so his fingerprints may be on the gun. Williams further stated that in the previous year, he had borrowed the gun in order to confront an individual who he claimed had been following individual 1. 10. Substantial harm or injury to Jane Doe specifically. In seeking to intimidate Jane Doe, or worse, in order to prevent her from testifying against Kelly, the defendant not only violated the law, but also arrogantly and dangerously sought to take the law into his own hands to obstruct the government's investigation. Moreover, the defendant's troubling research for information on machine guns and materials to make bombs demonstrates that the defendant poses a risk to the victims and other witnesses who testified against Kelly, as well as the public generally. 3. Conclusion. For the foregoing reasons, the court should sentence the defendant to a significant above guidelines range of imprisonment. Imprisonment. Respectfully submitted. Breon Peace, United States Attorney. by/S/Maria Cruz Melendez Elizabeth A. Geddes Nadia I. Chiata Assistant U.S. Attorney. CC 10.
So they're trying to keep it to where he gets 5 years. So, yeah, they'll probably be sentencing him for 5 years imprisonment. Can't go no lower than that. You know. And we have exhibits here. See how he involved his stepson. He involved his stepson. And this was what was in Exhibit A. This is the car. This is how the car was left after the fire was just melting it down. So this was Exhibit A, showing the damage that he did to the vehicles. Exhibit B. This is the other car. You see how it melted the back of the car? And this was the other car. This was the car that was in front of the other car. That the mother was saying, please, quick, hurry up. The other car's going to catch on fire. I'm afraid that they're going to explode. They're going to reach the engine and the cars are going to explode. And then we have Exhibit C.
Substantial harm.
So that's what it was, guys. That was the information that came in on Michael Williams. They showed the exhibits of the cars. And yeah, so he'll be sentenced in the next 6 days. And yeah, the people that were involved was Cash Jones. She was definitely involved in this. And Michael Williams.
Let me do it. Retards.
Shh, it's okay.
Get yourself a cellmate.
Well, Dabowski thinks I'm crazy. He thinks I'm crazy because I did the video with Dre and I interviewed him and I was speaking about putting men and women on McNeil Island. And it was an island that was a federal penitentiary for sex offenders, rapists, and things of that nature. And Zabos got mad because I wish R. Kelly to be on that island so, they can give him libido shots and kill his sex drive. Yeah, no, it's a problem.
Sick. This lady is sick.
They hold sex offenders only. And in this place, they actually were actually doing, what is that called? Like libido shots to kill the man's sex drive.
Right.
Yeah. So they actually do things like that. They would, it's an island specifically just for sex offenders only. And they would try to rehabilitate them.
Right. Now this lady is sick. This lady is sick. She is sick. For real.
This prison was around back in 1915, 18, 19, something of that.
Women that's gay just come out and say you gay. Cause she sound like she just wanted.
I am gay. I'm bisexual. I've done explained that a million times. I love all people. Doesn't matter, boy or girl. I love them all.
To go through every neighborhood and snip little boys' dicks off and shit. Snip everybody's dick off.
He said, I sound like I want to go around snipping everybody's dick off. Is he fucking retarded? Or is he dumb or is he slow? I'm confused. What the fuck? Wow. You really can't state your opinions out here. Like, people really, really, truly do get upset. It's crazy. Like, I'm only speaking the truth. I'm speaking my opinion. Yes, I think all sex offenders, I wish McNeil Island was still open so that they could keep all sex offenders on one island together and get the help that they need. And if that means giving them kill libido shots, then kill their libidos. It has nothing to do with snipping off their penis. Who said that? They're just giving them kill shots. Kill the libido so you stop being a predator, so you don't rape nobody in jail. What the hell? Like, what the fuck? Yes, I think Mr. Kelly belongs on that island along with any other psychopathic, sociopath, narcissistic, evil, disgusting, nasty old motherfuckers, whether it be women or men. if you're a nasty person and you like to do nasty things with children, whether they're pubescent or they're teenagers, they're still children at the end of the day. Yeah, they all need to be stuck on that island and get those shots. Kill their sperm. Kill their drive. Yes, he should be there on that island. And if Jeffrey Epstein was there, him too. Harvey Weinstein, bring his ass over there too. All of them psychopaths. Every last man on earth.
There's one more chat.
All right, babe, don't worry. I'm not worrying about it. I'm about to get off. Okay? I don't care. Lord, 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 he's not a pedophile. He's a hebephile, an ebophile. He don't like children under the age of 12. Okay. But he still likes 12 and 13-year-olds. So he still likes children at the end of the day, Dana. A 16-year-old is still a child. She's still a teenager. A 17-year-old is still a child. She's a teenager. An 18-year-old, which is legal, is still a teenager. She's still a child. So no matter what, he still messes with children at the end of the day, Dana. Okay? At the end of the day. Let's be real. Rashawn the Landfair and Aaliyah were 12 or 13 years old. What are you talking about? He even got a fucking 11 or 12-year-old impregnated in his neighborhood. Allegedly, he got beat up and was told not to go back into that hood. 18 is a child, honey. It doesn't matter. Don't you have an 18-year-old? Do you have an 18-year-old? She might be legal age of adults, but she's still not an adult. She's still a child. Doesn't matter. She's still a child. Her brain does not fully develop until she's like 25 anyway. Or 21. I forgot what's the number statistically. 18 is a child. When your child turns 18, you know your child is still your child because they're 18. They're still a teenager. They're still wet behind the ears. They still don't know everything. They think they know. Come on, Dana. You was an 18-year-old kid at one time too. Okay? And I know that at 18, you might have been mature, but you were still wet behind the ears doing dumb shit because you was a kid. Still at the age of 18. Let's be real. Let's be real now. Let's be real now. Let's keep it fucking 1,000. Okay? Right, he married Aaliyah at 15. Hello. And there was proof that there was a marriage. So can't nobody say he didn't marry Aaliyah because he married Aaliyah. It was expunged. It was annulled. All that good shit. But it happened. The proof is in the pudding. Read the transcripts. The man who married them was there. He said, I married them. It was a 10-minute ceremony. They had the matching sweatsuits on with both one side of their legs rolled up. They were in, they were out. Then a couple of days later, he assaults a girl backstage. He just got married to Aaliyah, and here he is assaulting another young lady at a concert. Just after he just finished marrying Aaliyah. He married her to protect himself, and it wasn't about love. He did that shit to protect himself. He likes messing with kids. Period. The king of kids. Period. Period. The king of kids. That's what he is. So I'm glad all these people are getting ready to go to jail. Michael Williams his sentencing is coming up on the 17th. Richard Arline's, I forgot when it was, somewhere in April, I think, or something like that. Yeah. All these guys are coming up. R. Kelly sentencing, Michael Williams sentencing, Richard Arline sentencing. Don Russell's case is coming up soon as well. And we know the Chicago trial will start next year in August. So it's what it is. What are you rebutting, David? I mean, Dana. What are you rebutting? What is there to rebuttal? What are you rebutting? He did hit star 67 when he called the theater. Mm-hmm. Yep, he was found guilty on 9 counts. 1 count racketeering, the rest of Mann Act. Right, like what are you rebutting? I'm confused. What is going to be your rebuttal? That R. Kelly didn't marry Aaliyah? I don't understand. Why would you do that when you already know that that's not true? What is that? What are you rebutting? I'm confused. Oh man, you know people are so fucking funny. You know, so yeah, so R. Kelly had an interesting cellmate. He has an interesting cellmate. And it's good that he's, you know, in spirits and good spirits with another person. You know, that's good for his mental health. We need him to keep mentally healthy because we need him to face the next court trial, and then the next one after that, and then the next one after that. So we need him to be mentally healthy. You know, we need him to be healthy. We need him to continue this path, to justice for the women. We need justice. So we don't need him hurt in jail. We don't need him getting sick in jail. We need him to be just right. Free Larry McGee. Yeah. So R. Kelly's doing good in jail. That's good to know. Mentally, that's good to know. That's good to know. He was just on suicide watch, but we all know that that's a precaution that they take, after a person has been sentenced. A person who has been convicted, and then they watch them probably after sentencing as well, to make sure, They can handle it. Yeah, we don't need him hurt or, damaged mentally in any way. We need him to remain the same so he can face his accusers and have a fair fight and let the process take its place. We all know he's guilty. We feel he's guilty. There's a preponderance of evidence against him. That's going to be hard for him to prove, as it did with this racketeering. Very hard to prove because they have so much evidence against him. So yeah. And Inspector Gadget's Blues Clues, Paw Patrols are on the loose. They are so funny. It's crazy. I'm watching and I'm like, what is going on? What the hell? Lord, sit down. Have a seat. Have several seats way in the back. Yeah. You're gonna love your life today, Dana. You're gonna ride the wave, Dana. You're gonna ride the wave. Wepa. You're gonna ride the wave. That's what it is. You're gonna ride that wave. What are you riding for? For what? What are you riding for? What are you riding for? I'm confused. You're gonna look like a lost puppy riding for what? What are you riding on? What are you doing? She said there's no children in the child porn case. What? What you bringing? There's nothing to bring. What are you bringing? What are you bringing, Dana? What are you bringing? Hey, Information Man Show. What's up, Papito? What are you bringing, Dana? You bringing nothing. What are you bringing? About what? What are you rebutting? That he married Aaliyah? Is that what you're rebutting? Because you can't rebut that. It's a known fact. He was convicted. Punto. Period. Ya se acabó. Okay. Y'all crazy, Dana. You're wasting your time and energy. Right, exactly. He was found guilty. Everybody knows he married Aaliyah now. That's it. Now we all know it was superficially true. It was a fact. The ceremony really did happen. It did go down. That's what it was. He married her. They got an annulment. She expunged it from her records. That's it. That's all. Those things really did happen. That was true. I don't get what you're going to rebut. What is there to rebut? What? What? Oh, Lord. No, actually, Quisha, you know what? Those comic strips, he gave it to his lawyers. And his lawyers decided to use that in court. Brendan's lawyers, not R. Kelly's lawyers. Brendan Hunt's lawyers. To show that, he's slowly rehabilitating in jail. He's staying out of trouble. To go easy on him and things of that nature.
Is your live done?
Oh my God. No, does it look like it?
Come on! I'm
So So what is he rebutting? I don't understand. The tapes in Chicago? Because apparently there's tapes in Chicago. There's 5 minors and 4 tapes. Well, really 3 tapes. Come to find out, it's really 3 tapes. Yeah. Can't wait. Hey, Josh. Cheeky said hello. Cheeky.
Hi.
Hi, Josh. Yeah, the lawyer is good. He's staying out of trouble. Right. He's staying out of trouble. Right. You know, there ain't nothing to debate. There's really nothing to debate. He was convicted. He was convicted on all 9 counts. We know he likes to travel with girls for sexual activity. He's been doing it for years. That's it. That's all. Right? Right. We know he abuses them. You know, he's very manipulative. He's controlling. We've learned a lot of these things about him. He's a narcissist. He's a sociopath. He's a psychopath when he wants to be. You know, things of this nature. We know he likes S&M. He's into bondage and things of that nature, right? He's into humiliating and stuff like that. That's part of bondage and stuff like that too. You know, as well as punishment. He likes to give punishment, right? Right? So, I don't know what there is to rebut, but whatever. No, I didn't watch Choke No Joke. What happened last night? Was he a weirdo? Yeah, exactly, Missy. You know, I didn't watch. Oh, he did an interview with Shabazz? Really? He had Shabazz on the show? Oh, Lord, let me see. Shabazz talks to Choke No Joke about R. Kelly documentary. Oh, Lord, really?
Stay there.
Here, black man.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I can't complain. What's going on? How you?
I'm good, man. I'm good, man. I can't complain either, man. God is good.
What they say, God is good. Wait. Highly favored, highly blessed, or something like that?
Blessed and highly favored.
Yeah, there you go.
Blessed and highly favored all the time. That's what he said. All the time. God is good all the time. Allah is good all the time.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I don't really believe, Allah just simply means God in English. So I don't really believe I'm Muslim.
Right.
So, but one of the things of being Muslim is you have to respect all of Allah's books, the Bible, the Injil, the Torah, the Quran. So I respect everything.
Right.
So I'm with you.
Me too. Buddha, it don't matter. It's all the same thing. Everybody just got a different name.
There it is.
Yeah, so why everybody keep telling me I need to talk to you, brother? What's going on, man?
Yo, I don't even know, man. Yo, I don't know, man. Let me just give you my disclaimer, like I told you earlier. I come in respect. I'm not a gangster. I'm not none of that. But if you ask me a question, I'm gonna tell you what it is. I really don't care about what somebody feel, who they are. It's that's my brand. It's as is. I'm gonna tell it to you how it is. So I'm just gonna let you know from the gate. If you ask me something, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Whether you think it's your truth or somebody else's truth, it's Shabazz's truth. And that's all that's important.
Right. So give people a little bit of your background. Now, from my knowledge, from what I'm hearing, you were involved with Don Diva magazine at one point.
Yeah, I started off delivering magazines for Don Diva, and I worked my way up to editor at Don Diva. I was with them for about 3.5 years. First 6 months, I was the delivery boy. Month number 7, I made it to editor. I was the editor-in-chief of Don Diva.
Okay, and you worked with who at that time? Cavario?
Cavario, let me shout Cavario out because like I was explaining to you, I'm a different type of dude. We broke up with Don Diva for creative differences. But Kevin Child is my man. His wife, Tiffany, she was who she was. Cavario was my man. We split. We didn't see eye to eye. Shit started happening internally. And, I bounced. But I'm never going to diss Don Diva because that's where I learned the journalism game. Prior to me working at Don Diva, I was selling drugs. And that was a long time ago. So from that, with the creative differences, I just left and I started my as is.
Right. Yeah, shout out Cavario. He definitely is the part of the engine of the machine that is Don Diva in the beginning.
There's no doubt about that. He definitely set the bar. He definitely made me hustle. He was the kind of dude that, the nigga would come with a powerful story. And, I don't know if it's the competitive nature in me or whatever it is, but at the end of the day, if for my kind of nigga, I'm not going to say all kind of niggas. I'm not just going to sit down and watch no nigga just bust my ass every day. I'm going to be doing push-ups. You might bust my ass for 60 days, but nigga, on day 61, I'm coming to get your ass. Right. Cavario was just his work ethic was to bust a nigga ass. And I just got tired of getting my ass busted. I just can't be at nothing and just be nobody. That'll work for me.
Well, they tell you that, you got to be around people that's going to make you better. If you're not,
true.
It ain't, ain't no sense in being around somebody if they're not going to raise you. You know
That's
what I'm
true.
saying?
That's true. So I'm gonna always respect, what I'm saying? Even though, I felt like Kevin Childs is my brother. You know what I mean? That's the owner of the company. Cavario, like I said, he set the bar. So I'm not on no sucker shit where it's we fell out. So that's like being with a girl and y'all break up, being with a baby mama, and now all of a sudden she a bitch. She could be a bitch between me and her, but I'm not about to stand up in the streets and call her no bitch and she this, she that, because I was with her. So I feel like when a nigga do that, you disrespect the game, and I don't disrespect the game. I live by a code, and that's just what it is. So I say all of that to say, again, if you ask me something, you can have callers or whatever, I'm going to say what it is. Whoever don't like it, I'm sorry you don't like it, but it's going to be what it's going to be.
Right. All right, cool. And I know Kevin Childs too. Shout out to Kev, you know what I'm saying? But, shout out to Don Diva as a magazine, but
definitely.
I've been in the magazine. I've done commercials for the magazine.
Right. Do what I did at Don Diva, so I just did it for myself. So I started as is.
Right. All right, cool. And then you said you rock with Troy Reed, right?
I did. Troy Reed it's funny because a true story. I remember I wanted to start off doing documentaries because I had watched some of his joints, right?
Wouldn't be no BMF story if it wasn't for Troy Reed. He brought those
in Black
those
America
stories. He brought those hood stories.
What niggas don't understand is it creates a competitive nature to where, okay, it's 10 of us out here now, 10 different magazines in prison. So a nigga can literally sell 1 million magazines in jails and nobody knows shit about it. It ain't seen that motherfucking magazine. And the reason why he's alive and moved is R. Kelly, because he had gangster niggas behind him. George Daniels had a gangster nigga up underneath his thumb. Now where nigga gets, you're not getting no money, all the women, and having all whatever, and you just gonna walk around Chicago free. It wasn't like that back then, and it's damn sure not like that now. Nigga was gonna touch you, so you had to be validated. Because of what I did with the magazines, I was validated. Not because I killed 100 niggas, not because I sold 1,000 keys, because I represented a gangster magazine. And we gave niggas like that an opportunity to speak. That put me in a certain circle. The circle that it put me in was a circle that was behind R. Kelly. So it was a merge.
Well, what year did you move to Chicago?
Say that again?
What year did you move to Chicago?
You know what? I don't remember because I'm still back and forth between Chicago and New York. But I can tell you this: I have a son, and I've been here since. I really don't. Well, I said my youngest son is 19. I've been here since he was born because his mama. I met his mama in New York. She was taking her undergrad in Fordham University. She has a master's in psychology. And
all right, so about 20 years.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So get back to how you got. All right, so that put you in R. Kelly's circle,
right?
All
so
right.
it was a natural because the niggas that had the power seen how I moved and they knew what I did with the magazine. So R. Kelly was doing the white people shit, but R. Kelly was doing the black people shit too. But he wasn't really doing it on the street side. So the street niggas felt like, yo, that would be a good mix or whatever. So I think the first time that I really got in the circle to where I did a project with him was, man, it was maybe 16, 17 years ago. And it's crazy because we've done several projects a lot of people don't know about. I'll give you one. I think I told you earlier, like the Bernard Hopkins fight. George Daniels is married to Regina Daniels, and Regina and George were publicists. They actually later ended up accusing R. Kelly of trying to do something to their daughter, but they were the ones who were the front people for R. Kelly back in the day.
Okay.
So that's who it was. Darryl McDavid has always been around R. Kelly, as far as I know. He's actually an accountant, but he kind of merged his titles along with managerial titles. But the first person that people really went to for R. Kelly in Chicago was a man named George Daniels. George Daniels was married to Regina, and before he was married to Regina, he got famous because he was married to an old R&B singer. I can't remember her name. But and you know what? It's crazy. George Daniels is from New York. But here's the thing. Chicago is one of those kind of places where they still have round tables. And you could be 100% legal, but just out of respect, because you don't want your shit pushed back, you come to those round tables. George Daniels was who George Daniels was. I'm not taking nothing from him. But there was a round table. And he had to come sit at that motherfucking round table. And that's just what it was.
Okay, so, all right, so now get me to how you got involved with this documentary that you did. What's the name of it again? The Precedents?
Well, let me just say let me take you to before I got to that documentary. Like I said, I've been fucking with Kelly for a long time. I got footage that I didn't even release, with him and which they're now. I don't know if he's enemies with him, but with Darryl McDavid, because they were actually both on this case together. But Darryl wanted his case split up separately, so you don't really hear about his part of it yet. And I don't know, the technicalities as far as if he's gonna tell him R. Kelly and say some shit. I don't know, because his case ain't came up, and I try to stay away from that. But I've been dealing with them since then because I used to film all of that shit back in the days. I've always had my own company. So long story short, it was kind of a no-brainer when this shit first started popping off. What a lot of people don't know and think is R. Kelly was very aware of what was coming to him. He knew about it before Gayle came. He knew about it because the shit was brewing. So what happened was, in essence, R. Kelly decided he wanted to get ahead of it. Now, before they did the Gayle King interview, I had done an interview, and we had done a TV show called The Spot. The Spot was supposed to be getting ahead of what happened and what was about to come up. A lot of people, I don't say he was talking in code, but he was talking in a way where I knew what he was saying. Some of those niggas in the room knew what he was saying. And let me tell you who was in the room. It was, I'll mention him. Tio Hardiman ran for governor. Antoine Walker, myself, I'll name one nigga, Frank, who owns a cigar bar, and the rest was gangster type niggas. Now understand, we got the nigga that's running for governor in the room with us. Governor. You know, whoever seen that, you yellow nigga with, I think he had on a burnt orange suit and tie or some shit. That's how deep those ties were. So what we decided from that, and what I didn't know at the time, I'm thinking it's gonna take off, but we started finding out that the industry was scared of Kelly because they knew what was happening. Everybody knew what was brewing except for the public. Kelly definitely knew. So what we said we were gonna do, we agreed to.
When you say that he knew what was brewing, what was brewing? What do you mean?
Like all these accusations, the court cases and stuff was coming, and it was turmoil in the camp because of Azriel and Joycelyn already. So he knew that the feds was coming after him. He knew that was going to happen. Okay. I don't think he knew to what extent, but he knew they was coming. Like I promise you, if anybody got the spot.
When is your live gonna be pun?
You know, it's funny that he says that because Steve Greenberg had mentioned that R. Kelly was already prepared and he knew what was coming down the pipe. That's why he turned himself in. Remember when he said that in an interview? Yeah. Interesting that he says a governor was involved in a meeting.
You listen to some of the shit he say and what he's talking about, you'll understand why he's saying it. He's talking about black people got to get together. If we take money together, it's not about the money. You go to the basketball court, you got to make little young black men sit in the class. They got to learn something. Like, there was a reason for all that. That was calculated. A lot of people don't know that. It wasn't just because, and I'm not saying he don't really believe that, but those were calculated statements and remarks. What happened was the shit backfired on us. I was the one who initially put everything together. I told you before, and I'm going to name names. Like, if I come with something, then you can take that shit to the bank. We went to Baseline. Baseline is on 18th and Michigan in Chicago. We sat down with the owner. One of the things that we wanted to do, we wanted to make an MTV-style concert. As a matter of fact, one of the people that was on the table to buy that program was AT&T. I know I have all of the paperwork to support everything that I'm saying. He wanted all his album covers on the walls. He wanted 100 people, which were going to be girls. He was sitting in a red velvet king chair. What he wanted, or what we decided was, he was going to sing to make it like MTV. He was going to sing a song, 2 or 3 songs, and in between sets, we were going to ask him real questions. Because everybody was telling him, and he knew that it was coming, that he had to get ahead of what was happening. So getting ahead of what was happening meant he knows some crackers was coming at him and they was going to hit him with some sexual assault, this, that, whatever. So we just want to ask him straight up, like you standing on the corner, questions. Niggas, you a pedophile? Is you a sexual assaultist? Did you do such and such and such? That's on my mama. And he knew that he was going to answer him. Our biggest problem and challenge at the time was we were trying to find someone, a female, who could actually sit down, who was notable enough and fearless enough to ask him these questions. Because the questions were going to be black people questions. We wasn't coming at him with no fucking cracker shit. We was coming at him with straight nigga shit. Like, if you sitting in jail, nigga, what you in here for? Like, ain't nobody gonna pussyfoot and try to, ask.
So they were gonna try to drill R. Kelly, and they wanted a female to do it, but they had no females to do it. Are you kidding me? Damn, that's crazy.
Formal, proper question. Nigga, I wouldn't know what you in here for, because you ain't staying in my cell if you a rapist. Nigga, if you did some child molestation shit.
So let me ask you a question. So right. if you was dealing with him already prior to all this surviving R. Kelly shit, how did you get hooked up with Angelo and the Clarys to do this documentary?
Let me tell you, all right. Just for the sake of your own followers, and I'm gonna respect your show because it's your show. I just want to finish to get to that part because that's a valid question. I'm gonna get to it. Okay. So because he knew all of that, this is what we were trying to do. As a matter of fact, R. Kelly. So we knew Surviving R. Kelly was coming out when it was coming out. He knew that. We talked about it. We sat on Tavern on the Rush, downtown on Rush Street, and we had dinners over it. We eat dinners and come outside and eat gelato. and sit in this little square oval park and niggas smoking cigars. We knew everything that was happening. He knew what was getting ready to happen. So what happened when that happened was I think he had got arrested. So now I'll stop right there and answer how the Angelo and them came in. While all of this was happening, Surviving R. Kelly had already come out. Angelo was on it. Now they got scenes in there. I never really watched the entire joint, but Angelo was on it. The Clarys were on it. Whoever else was on it, and it showed places where they was trying to get in the hotels and do this, do that, and other. But one thing people never asked themselves was, how the fuck would Tim Savage or Angelo Clary know what hotel R. Kelly was in or any of them girls was allegedly in? Somebody had to tell them, right? Because you can't come run your ass up in Chicago and think you just gonna know where something's at without somebody telling you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody told him, so he knew. So those same people who directed them towards where they needed to go to see their daughters were the people who controlled getting a pass to bring your ass in Chicago in the first place. I was privileged to that information because I know the niggas who controlled that environment. So I just simply reached out to Angelo. I knew every time Angelo was getting ready to come to Chicago and he was coming, Angelo talk that gorilla and killer shit. Nigga, listen, it's real simple. Anybody can get it anywhere they go, but you best believe you can't go to another nigga state talking no rah-rah shit, think you getting up out of there. Nigga, this Chicago. I'm from New York. I'm gonna be New York till I die. I'm from Harlem. But at the end of the day, I still respect Chicago. And I know for a fact, I don't give a fuck if you're looking for Jesus. You're not running your ass up in nobody's hotel talking no shit or throwing rocks at the window unless somebody gave you a green light to do that. Those people that gave him the green lights, again, made me privileged to him. So I just reached out to him one day. And I guess he did his homework or whatever, or he made some phone calls and he found out Shabazz. Well, Shabazz know them niggas that I go to for permission to bring my ass to Chicago. He might tell you, I got goons everywhere. Nigga, you ain't got a motherfucking goon nowhere unless the niggas gave you the blessing to do. You're not from Chicago, nigga. So don't sit there. I'm not from fucking Chicago. I'm a guest in this motherfucker. So ain't no way in hell you gonna tell me you got goons in Chicago. Nigga, you in Baltimore, goddamn. You say two like dude. Fuck you mean you got goons in Chicago? Them goons in Chicago was giving me a pass. When he found out that I really ran with him, that's what I guess opened the door. And then, and let me just say this to clarify. I'm not a gangster, nigga. And I don't do what them niggas do. Them niggas give me a pass because they know I'm on some legit shit and I just tell the story the way it is and they respect that. I don't do what they do. I'm not with none of that. I'm with holding my own, like, I hold me down. I don't do what they do. But, and I just had to say that because I don't want it to appear as if I'm trying to say I run with gangsters and I shot 100 niggas and I sold 1,000 pieces. Nigga, I ain't do none of that. I did what I did on my own, not with them. So anyway, the second part of it was what really made us closer once he found out. I'm Muslim. So just as a Muslim brother, listening to what he was going through, knowing where his daughter was at, knowing the nigga she with, felt an obligation to help him.
Yeah.
Like it was simple as that, because you my Muslim brother. See, when I took my shahada, I took
let me ask you a question real quick. When you said, all right, so
Give me 1 second, guys. I'm confused too.
who you said?
No, I reached out to him.
Oh, you reached out to him. Okay.
I did. I got his dog. I got his information that I really ran with him. That's what I guess opened the door. And then, and let me just say this to clarify. I'm not a gangster, nigga. And I don't do what them niggas do. Them niggas give me a pass because they know I'm on some legit shit, and I just tell the story the way it is, and they respect that. I don't do what they do. I'm not with none of that. I'm with holding my own. Like, I hold me down. I don't do what they do. But, and I just had to say that because I don't want it to appear as if I'm trying to say I run with gangsters and I shot 100 niggas and I sold 1,000 keys. Nigga, I ain't do none of that. I did what I did on my own, not with them. So anyway, the second part of it was what really made us closer once he found out he's Muslim. I'm Muslim. So just as a Muslim brother, listening to what he was going through, knowing where his daughter was at, knowing the nigga she with, I felt an obligation to help him. Like it was simple as that, because you my Muslim brother. See, when I took my shahada, I took
Now, let me ask you a question real quick. When you said, all right, so he reached out to you, you said?
No, I reached out to him.
Oh, you reached out to him, okay.
I did. I got his dog. I got his information from the niggas he was running to get a pass to come to Chicago.
Okay, all right. So the next question is, you reached out to him.
I did.
Prior to you reaching out to him and you being around, you said at this point you've been around R. Kelly more than 10 years.
Yes.
Right? So when you reached out to him, have you ever seen any R. Kelly hold any chick captive? Or have you ever seen him around any women?
Dog, listen to me. This on my mama. No, son, that's why I reached out to him to help felt that I can help him. And the niggas that gave him the pass felt they can help him too, because we all knew that was bullshit. Son had a bunch of shit over his head. Yo, listen, man, listen. For those that's on the slow bus, let me explain something to you. I'm fucking Muslim, all right? Like, you will get your head chopped for fucking with a kid. Like, that's a no-no. And, you know, this might hurt me, but I'm going to just say what it is. Like, Muslims, we don't fuck with the LGBTQT, with however you pronounce that shit. We don't fuck with child molesters. We don't fuck with rapists. That's just against the religion. That's the religion. And just being as a man. Now, the niggas that I know that hold the passes in Chicago, they old school niggas. They will kill you for that shit. Like, if son was doing any of that, he had a split personality and a way to hide that shit, because when he was around them type of niggas, he was none of that. That's why I'm like, yo, I'm listening to the stories, and I'm even listening to Angelo, and I'm telling Angelo at the end of the day, like, dog, I don't know about all that shit. And then I came to the conclusion in my mind and said, you know what? Anything is possible, so here's how I'm going to carry it. I'm going to fuck with R. Kelly, and I'm going to fuck with any black man that's accused of anything until you find him guilty. If the nigga guilty, lock his motherfucking ass up. That should apply for R. Kelly and Jesus. I don't give a fuck. But because I know what I seen, I didn't see that. I know what them other niggas seen, they didn't see that. Because these are the kind of niggas that'll take you up in a room somewhere and beat your ass. Like, that's the kind of love these niggas is issuing out. Like, yo, what the fuck is you doing? Like, these niggas, and I'm not a dick ride nigga. I'm telling you how these niggas is, and these niggas ain't 30 and 40. Some of these niggas 55, 60, 65 years old. Some shit you see on TV. The niggas that's getting ready to violate your ass is 21 and 22, but the niggas that's giving them orders is old men. And old men have a different principle. It's like an old white person. Yeah, all that, you not racist shit. I might believe that shit if you're a cracker.
Yo, did you take out my mouse?
If you're a cracker, you 75, your ass is racist. Get the fuck out of here.
Why is my mouse not running here?
My personal feelings. You might not be wrong, but just based on you coming from that era, that's how it is. The people that ran and came from that era, they not going for none of that.
So check it, right? When you, what were you helping him? If you say all that to say that you never seen R. Kelly around the young girls, that's not his MO.
No.
You've been around the people you've been around, him that been around these gangster niggas, they'll beat the shit out of him if they even see him doing some shit like that. So what were you helping Angelo with when you said you wanted to help him?
My intention and what I tried to help him with initially was getting his daughter back. And I personally made phone calls to the niggas that had the power to talk to Kels, like, yo, let that girl see her, her father or whatever. And here's the answers that would come back. She didn't want to talk to them. Her or Joycelyn. They didn't want to talk to them. Like, niggas was telling them, and then Kels would buckle under pressure and be like, yo, I'm not holding nobody hostage. Like, if they want, she tells you herself in my documentary, the niggas had, fucking Angelo had R. Kelly phone number. Her fucking mama had his phone number. Like, they didn't want to talk to him. So now we back and forth, And Angelo knows this. This is this on Everything I Love, son. He knows this, but he can't come out and say that because now he done committed himself to R. Kelly is a monster, and he got my daughter. The same thing, Jocelyn. With Jocelyn's parents, they don't want to talk to you, dog. Like ain't nothing nobody can make a nigga do. And at the end of the day, let me tell you something. Man. I'm gonna give you a true story. We did a tour. His last tour before he went to jail was in Milwaukee. We went to Milwaukee. The moral of the story is Jocelyn and Azrael was in Chicago. So I'm telling you, I've seen firsthand where the nigga ain't in town and be gone for 3 or 4 days. He leave them there, come back, they still there. How the fuck he holding you hostage and doing anything when you can get up and go? You can get up and go. So that was some bullshit. But the nigga was committed to it because he had already started that shit in Surviving R. Kelly. So Angelo's the type of dude he's going to try to save face. He's going to try to make himself look good. And at the end of the day, I kind of understand it because that's somebody's dad. You know what I mean? So even if it's, it was questioning if it's his daddy or stepfather, whatever, she was still in his home where he tried to pay bills or do whatever. So I guess, he has that bond with her. And I understand that. But at the end of the day, man, the truth is the truth. Like, if my daughter don't want to fuck with me, she just don't want to fuck with me. What I'm going to do, lie on her? And right. And that's what ended up happening. And the relationship.
When you, so you said you tried to help him. Even though you feel like, that wasn't R. Kelly's MO, but you tried to help him.
I tried to help him because they weren't talking to him. At the time of me initially trying to help him, until I got the answers back, I didn't know that they didn't want to talk to him. I thought sincerely that maybe it was something, some type of miscommunication or something that I was losing. But I knew because of my ties, I could really find out. If anybody could find out, I knew I could find out. And what I was finding out in the beginning, I didn't notice. Maybe the first 2 or 3 times. But then after the 4th, or 5th, or the 6th time, they knew that their fathers or their parents was in Chicago. They knew that their parents were looking for them. They did not want to respond. R. Kelly had nothing to do with that shit. R. Kelly would tell them sometimes to answer their goddamn mouth. They didn't want to do it. How the fuck is that his fault?
Right.
That's just what it was. Like I'm telling you.
All right. So so when you was trying to help them, right? All right. So once you figured that out, how did this documentary come into play?
Once I figured it out, well, the documentary actually came into play because I'm gonna keep it 100 with you, nigga. I'm a hustler. We had already committed ourselves to making a documentary or trying to get ahead of it anyway. So I wanted to get to the bottom of it. So I'm sitting on what I'm sitting on as far as camera equipment and all the stuff. So maybe it was our third meeting, and I'm gonna start documenting. If you've been in the game, the DVD game, and you say you've been doing it since VHS, when you got that hustle in you, it's like a girl having that hustle in her for doing hair. That money is addictive. It just becomes something that they don't want to do. You might get tired of this shit, but because you're doing it so long, that's what that's your quick go-to. So it's instinctive for you to go and do somebody's hair. Same thing when you run around with a fucking camera or you're a journalist. It's instinctive to bring my tape recorder in my motherfucking camera's in my car at all times. If I'm going to eat dinner with a female, but you never know what you might capture. So when I put everything together, it was immediate in my head, right? We're gonna make this project together so we can really get down to the bottom of it. My nigga disclaimer, because we never put this on paper, was to Angelo. Whatever I find out, son, I'm showing. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. That don't matter if it's good or bad. I'm not gonna lean this towards your side or his side. What I find out is what I find out. We agreed on that shit. What the nigga tried to do was spin me. He didn't think, you know what? Here's what because he's not from Chicago, because he doesn't really know the inner circle, and everybody claimed to know R. Kelly, I think he think that I was one of the niggas that was just talking shit. He didn't know. I'm not gonna say I was as close to R. Kelly. I was as close to those people. He didn't realize that. So the information that he would sometimes funnel and give to me, I'll give you a great example. Tasha K. When I first met the nigga and we was talking, that was this biological sister. That's my sister. He used to tell me, yo, I'm going to tell her this, I'm going to tell her. I'm thinking this is his sister. Prior to R. Kelly, and no disrespect to Tasha K, I never heard no fucking Tasha K. Nigga, I'm not into soap operas and all that old mushy shit. The fuck? I'm a street nigga. Nigga, I tell gangster stories. Tasha K ain't no gangster, and she ain't telling no gangster stories. But when Angelo came into the picture, I found out who Tasha K was. So it was a good 3-4 weeks, maybe a month, 2, that I'm thinking this is fucking sister. And he telling me the stories he gonna leak to her. As a matter of fact, it got to a point where sometimes we would bump heads. He would try to insinuate, well, I'm gonna tell Tasha K this, that, and other such thing. Like he was almost blackmail. If you don't cooperate, I'm gonna tell. And then I got to the point, nigga, fuck you and Tasha K. Nigga, you know how much shit niggas talk about me. I don't give a fuck about you telling no Tasha K no shit. Then come to find out they not related. Then they fall out. I'm like, yo, like this nigga's a funny nigga. Cause Choke, listen to me. It's like sometimes you say, I'm getting ready to cover this story. And the nigga you with know the real truth to the story. But he either think that you're dumb or you don't know nobody to get the real truth. But then, and he's not going to tell you because he's going to let you see. He's going to try to let you see how far you can get on your own with the hopes of you not finding out the real story. And when you get close to the real shit, he tries to spin you and throw you another way. That was Angelo Clary in a nutshell. When I started discovering that, wait a minute, Angelo don't want to talk to you, nigga. He tried to start spinning. Because in the beginning, he had me with the, yo, my daughter, nigga, all that shit was bullshit. That was game. Straight game.
Wow.
So
when you started doing the documentary, was Angelo part of it?
He was.
Like,
and
were y'all partners?
No, we wasn't partners. This how this went. I made the offer to Angelo, offer him some money. I'm not going to talk about how much because that's not important. What I will talk about is the percentages that were supposed to be chopped up.
It's important to some people.
Nah, but you know what, Choke? You never hear me talk about, I ain't that kind of dude. You don't hear me talk about I got a car, I got a bad bitch. You know, I'm a regular nigga. Allah bless me to just, yo, nigga, I've been fucked up, nigga. You hear me? Right. Nigga, I've been fucked up before. So I never try to
I was just fucking with you, but go ahead.
But no, that's important for me to say. So I'm never on some shine on a nigga shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I might say $1, the nigga might say, wow, that's a lot. The next thing you know, I got niggas trying to get me because they think
I mean, the reason I say it like that is because, you know, he said he never made no money off of this R. Kelly thing.
He a fucking liar. And then he was petty with his daughter because after I gave him whatever I gave him, dog, we was in Orlando. I'm going to tell you a transaction. We was in Orlando. I was in that amusement park. There's an amusement park that has their hotel, their namesake hotel on the property. I'm in the suite. No bullshit. I got a king suite because I know I'm doing an interview. So I don't know if this nigga gonna bring his mans with him, his people with him, who Azriel gonna bring whatever. So we chop up the money. I give it to him. So now they both happy. It's static. When I tell you they're ecstatic, it's like these niggas just done came up. So I'm talking about the contract. It brings him back down to life. So before we get ready to walk out the door, I forgot where we was getting ready to go, but we get ready to walk out the door. He turns around. He's like, "Wait, hold up. Let me see something. Well, what's going to be the percentage?" And what made me even offer after the money percentage was Azriel showed me her phone. Inside of Azriel's phone, she had 100 different clips of R. Kelly. If I'm trying to do an R. Kelly documentary, I don't want to keep hearing Azriel and Angelo. Don't you think you need to see R. Kelly? That makes sense to me, right?
Right.
So, because it's R fucking Kelly, I got to give you some money. Here was the money. And I'm kind of ashamed of what I did, but I'm gonna just keep it 100, nigga. I'm a businessman. I'm a hustler. I'm a street nigga, but still, nigga, I'm a businessman. I told the nigga I give you 5% or whatever the gross is. He didn't go for that. And so I hit him with well, if we make $10, you get 5% of that, it's gonna be this. But I wasn't using $100. I was using I'm thinking R. Kelly, so I'm using if we make $1 million and you get 5%, nigga, you get XYZ. That's a good motherfucking day for your ass for just telling the story. Let me tell you, as smart as he thinks he is, and this Allah be my Shaheed. Nigga, I got the contract right now. I got the contract with the signature. The nigga was like, nah, man, we want more than that. How much you want, son? 7%. Son, the nigga said 7% from 5%. It's the same fuck nigga you had on your show talking all that fuck nigga bullshit like he a gangster. 7%. Let me tell you something, Cho. In this game, you know anything. You've been in the game. So let me just veer off for 1 second. You know the average nigger contract is 25%. Them crackers will give you 25% or 25,000 immediately. in advance of 20. That's a nigga deal. You know that, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't giving the nigga a deal. I gave the nigga a minus nigga deal. Because you're not even a nigga to me. So I'm going to hit you with some minus shit. The nigga didn't even wasn't smart enough to say, wait a minute, 5%, nigga, you disrespectful. Nigga, I wish the nigga would tell me I'm going to give you 5% for anything I do. 5%? Nigga, what the fuck you think you talking to? Nigga, as you out your motherfucking mind, and I damn sure ain't get ready to come to 7% from 5%. This bitch ass nigga said 7%. Then he said, hold up, wait a minute. He wanted more than his daughter because the 7%, and this is 100 on my mama, was 7% that they had to split. Not 7% apiece, 7% for both their asses.
Right.
He signed it. So for me, that was a good motherfucking day. I did better than a motherfucking Jew with a nigga facing life in jail, because you know them Jews gonna tax your ass. They want $500,000 to defend your motherfucking ass. And your name ain't even R. Kelly. And it's either you pay the motherfuckers or you get ready to go to jail for the rest of your life. And every time a motherfucker get paid like that, they walk away with a good ass client because they just made $500,000. So in my head, we had made no money yet. I had given him an undetermined amount of money, but I felt like all that in my head was recoupable. And because it was recoupable, I didn't give a fuck, because I knew based on me only having to give these motherfuckers 7%, even if I spent $10, okay, and I had no money, I was getting my $10 back. So you know what I did? Just to play it fair, because I knew the contract was kind of unfair, but the reason why I was like that, because he thought he was slick. Like, nigga, I'm from New York, nigga. I'm not disrespecting with nobody from, nigga. I'm the cream of the motherfucking crop hustler. I don't give a fuck if I'm selling shit. I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I gotta do. So I'm a New York nigga. Ain't no Baltimore nigga getting ready to come up and run no game on me. What the fuck wrong with you? Get out of here. So I'm gonna show you by showing you. And I ain't got to smack you, hit you. I don't got to do none of that. I'll just use my mind. So to keep it fair, because I felt in my heart it was unfair, what you want to eat, son? Where you want to stay? Where y'all want to fly to? Oh, you want to go in a recording studio? When you want to record? And it was nothing to me because I knew I was already ahead of the game. And at the end of the day, I'm getting all of this back. So whatever went out was going to come back as recoupable. I just wasn't in a record label. So he got a mental note like, yo, we in the suite. I put his daughter in Vegas. They were both in suites. This bum ass nigga. Yo, I promise you, son. And I don't mean to talk about niggas on your show. And I hope the nigga listens so he can call in so I can put him in his place. That's on my mama. Like he talked all like he put a cease and desist. Nigga, you with what? You don't have a lawyer. You need a lawyer to send a cease and desist unless you download some shit off the internet. Nigga, I got a mean team. Nigga, you're not getting past it. And at that time, for real, that team was a part of R. Kelly's team. So the same motherfuckers that was powerhouses for him was powerhouses for me. You cease and desisted what, nigga? And proof in the pudding is every motherfucker who was a part of that court case was on that documentary. How you think I did that, nigga? You got me fucked up. So how you cease and desisted anything? You told a nigga that not to put it out if you was gonna put it out. If you would have gave us your blessing was a green light. Here's the truth, black man. And I'm not saying this to be facetious. R. Kelly's name is shit in the industry. None of them crackers wanted to touch it. He ain't had the power to put a stop or nothing because it was already, unfortunately, in their heads. They wasn't touching R. Kelly. It just wasn't. So he didn't have the power to call no movie studio or executive and say, yo, great, I don't want that out. Cease and desist. Nigga, A, I got a fucking binding contract that you signed. B, I don't need your permission. And let me say, A1, them crackers was already scared of R. Kelly. R. Kelly's name scares these crackers in this industry. Bottom line, I don't give a fuck who you go to fucking defend. You can have Ben Crump. You can have Ben, and I fuck with Crump. That's my man. He not gonna get them crackers to take no motherfucking R. Kelly because they scared of the backlash. Because everybody has something, he's a molester and he's a monster and this and that. And be it true or false, well, he's convicted now. He hasn't been sentenced. But this was before any of this had even come into play. They felt like that. Right. So how is he saying that he had the ground to put a stop? You got, yo, son, I remember this.
So R. Kelly and his gangsters, huh? Everybody's scared of R. Kelly and his gangsters. Well, You want to know who's not scared of R. Kelly and his gangsters? The government. And that's who got his ass now. The government. You see how Angelo is slick. I cannot. Like I said in my video before, he did all this to chase behind R. Kelly for his daughter to make money and for him to make more money than his daughter. It's all about the money with that guy.
Second, I'm gonna give you a good story. I remember the second time he was trying to set up an interview with Gayle King. Gayle King was doing it, and he had to go through Daryl, not Daryl McDavid, the other Daryl. Now, I'm just gonna and be honest. I went against my code, and I fucked with Daryl because in my heart, Daryl was suspect. You figure out what I mean. I can't remember the nigga last name now because I'm kind of like hype. But you know who I'm to? The nigga with he had a fade and a fucking ponytail and braids all in one with the Abraham Lincoln look. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going against the grain because he's suspect to me. My radar is ringing. But you know what? We're a hustler. You know, like sometimes you do. Like if we let me put it this way: in jail, there's no LGBTQT, or however you say that if you Muslim. You niggas can't walk past my weight court. Don't come to my cell. We not fuck with each other in the mess hall. I'm gonna respect you, but we gonna keep our distance. The nigga, the minute you step in a Muslim presence, we gonna take your head off. Because Muslims don't believe in that. Now, I'm not like that in the street to that extent. I don't care what you are. We can get the job done. We gonna get the job done. But nigga, you better know, don't cross that motherfucking line. Because you already know it's gonna be a problem. So I went against that line with this dude. We're in New York. We're on 57th and 6th Avenue. Gayle King set up an interview for this nigga to be on her show. We in some hotel that don't got no sign on it, no name on it, no nothing. He's setting up him to go on the show. And at the same time, he's trying to get Gayle to, and Oprah is supposed to be interested. I don't know if that's true or not. I know Gayle was. But Oprah was supposed to be interested, and they want to do it with Azriel. Some one-on-one shit. Let me tell you with Mr. Big Time, how bad this, and Allah forgive me because I'm not trying to really blast the nigga and put his business out there, but I'm going to do it because at least I was a dope fiend. You know, he came with their show and lied. The nigga was on another show with his nigga Larry, and this bitch ass nigga gonna tell niggas on camera, yo, I put them people on you. Since when the fuck you get points for snitching on a nigga? And what the fuck you snitching on me for saying I snitched? What the fuck I snitched? Making a documentary. Like, how the fuck is that? Like, where's you nigga? Like, I don't even know where these niggas come from. But the moral of the story is, so while this nigga is doing this shit, Daryl is doing what he doing, Angelo is preparing for them to be in Orlando for the actual interview. Son, he lives in Baltimore. His mama lived in Orlando. The nigga lived in a rat trap so fucked up, he not having Gayle come. I'm not going to say Oprah. Oprah was alleged to have come. I never knew about that. I got the information I got from Darren as well and confirmed about Gayle. I don't know about Oprah. But he was so embarrassed that he wasn't bringing them to his house. So I'm like, yo, son, so we going to do the interview because, you know, that's going to be Gayle and Oprah. That shit is massive and big. Yo, dog, they going to have to come to my mama's house. At the time when all this is happening, I understood and understand something. Yo, listen, nigga. Listen, so niggas don't get it fucked up. I've been fucked up, nigga. My mama lived in the Bronx on Fordham Road. She lived in some fucked up shit. So I know how it is. So you can't front on me. So I'm not trying to say it in a negative way, but you can't get on camera and act like you a millionaire, you this boss nigga, and you living in a tenement. It don't match. And you can't do that where another nigga really know the truth, because I know the truth. But at the time, I'm not thinking about it, and I'm respecting the game because I know how it is. Shit. You know, back in the day, if you say yourself getting money, it's just like having a bad female. If I call myself, I meet a chick, I'm getting money, I got whatever I got, and I'm telling her I live here and I live there, but I really live there. I can't bring Shorty to where I really live because I done lied like I'm a millionaire. So
Right.
Shorty got to continue to stay up in the Four Seasons, or I got to go get him. And at the time, you know, when I was getting money in the street, there was no fucking whatever you rent a house and all that. You couldn't do all that shit.
So that Gayle King interview was in Orlando?
It was supposed to. Here's the punchline. It didn't happen. They refused him. They pulled it. When it was supposed to be the second, would have been the second time. This was maybe a month off after she did the first one. It was the second time. They pulled it. And they pulled it partially because something happened with Darren. Because I remember him telling me Gayle and them was supposed to be helping him. Like, he did some snake shit too. Because his benefit from it at first, they were supposed to have given R. Kelly $200,000. And they said there was cash exchange. Then come to find out it wasn't. What was exchanged was the promise of help. And his help was, he was trying to launch his own TV show. One of his first guests was going to be Drake and all this, that, and the other. And the reason why I know is because I flew out to Atlanta and I stayed in fucking Hyatt, and he stayed in a hotel right next door to me. I was supposed to produce the show. Something happened in between that. His promise, from what I figured out, either they said it directly or it was insinuated that they would help him further what he was trying to do in exchange for him bringing in Azrael and being that mediatorship with R. Kelly. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if you my man and you bring me into something, I'm going to say, so I'm going to reward you. Like, okay, you used to work for Jay-Z. So we off street shit. So I might give you whatever I give you, but I'm giving it to you because my intent and hope is you're going to bring me to Jay-Z. And you kind of insinuate that, yeah, I'm going to let you meet Jay-Z. So I'm going to give you whatever it is you want because I really want to get to Jay-Z. That was Darryl and Gayle.
I think that was everybody that was passing off them phone numbers. But
Exactly.
So, all right, so you did the documentary with Angelo, somewhat of a partnership, but, you know, he got...
I ain't gonna say it, but the reason why, you know what, you can call it that, and I'm not even mad at
Yeah,
that.
I mean, even if he's getting a small percentage, it's still...
That's cool. You can call it whatever you want.
Even if it's 95-5.
Son,
you know
cool.
what I'm saying?
I'm good with that. I'm not taking it no kind of way.
And you saying you did it, you know, because you're a businessman.
So at the end of the day, ain't you? Son, ain't you? Ain't you?
Yeah, but so you did it not to hurt R. Kelly. You did it to tell the story.
How could I want to hurt? First of all, listen to me. You're not listening to me, black man, and I'm not even saying it in a nasty way.
I'm asking you a question. Don't say I'm not listening to you.
No, you know why you're not.
One thing I do is listen.
Okay,
you ain't noticed.
Okay, I'm listening. I'm listening to you, but you're not listening. When I say listen, I don't mean in the vernacular of just listening to everyday language. Listen what I say by reading in between the lines. And what I said to you in the beginning is, I know the niggas who held their thumbs on top of all of that shit. How can I put out something to go against R. Kelly and walk in Chicago? You ain't listening.
Okay. All right.
Because if I did that, you know what? There would be no interview because my ass would be somewhere gone.
Okay, so the purpose of collaborating with Angelo and Azrael on this was to tell the story.
Yes.
All right, that's what I said from the beginning.
No, but I just want you. See, because something like I want you to talk to me, and I'm gonna respect your show. I ain't trying to take, I'm not trying to disrespect you though, but I want you to talk to me like nigga, you know, we understand the language if we in jail together, if we on the corner together. Somebody might hear it, but when I say something to you, you know what I mean. So I want you to listen to me like that. So if you listen to the entire story of what I'm saying to you, if I'm telling you, I know
listen, bro. Listen, I'm listening with both ears, the street ear and the business ear. Okay, but I got business people watching as well as street people watching.
Okay,
so this is why I asked you.
Nah, do your job, son.
For the white people that may not know what that means.
Okay.
This is why I asked.
Okay, son.
You got me?
I got you, son. Do your thing.
Okay, cool. All right. So in the documentary, what is truth and what is lies?
Everything in that motherfucking documentary is truth, or it wouldn't be in there. The flip is the truth. When the bitch first said that she, and you know what? Stop the law. Let me not say that. When Shorty first said that she loved R. Kelly and she don't believe about who's being hostage and all, that was truth. But check it. That was true for then. What's true yesterday don't mean it's going to be true tomorrow. Everything in that documentary was true at that time. The flip and the lie. The lie was her truth the next day after telling the real truth. You feel what I'm saying? Like the best way I could break it down is you love somebody today, tomorrow you don't like that. You hate their ass. You loved me yesterday, but today you got a passionate hate towards me. Both days is true because that's how you feel for that day. So everything in that documentary is exactly the way it's supposed to be. It showed her truth on Monday, and then it showed her truth on Wednesday. Where she made the mistake is not about telling the truth, it's the consistency and character of it. See, because the truth is not supposed to change.
Did she say, I haven't watched the documentary, so I don't know.
Oh, so you don't know.
Did she say in the documentary that she was kidnapped? Or she couldn't leave?
The first, I caught it when she, before the flip, before she got taken under the tutelage of Larry, she was more common sensible. And so there was a part in there where she was
Who's Larry?
Larry was the dude that was Angelo's partner, and Larry started Team Truth. Larry was also the dude that said he put the feds on me, and Larry is now incarcerated for something, checks, fraud, mortgage, some shit, I don't know. But he in the Fed joint. He got some punk time. And he part of that is because he made a deal with them people to get R. Kelly to get a lean sentence on his time. Like this shit was all fuckery, man. But I tell you, in the documentary she goes from one extreme to another. One day she's on, for the first period, 3 or 4 months, she was on pro R. Kelly. She was arguing with Angelo in front of me. They would have serious arguments to a point where it almost come to blows.
Arguments about what?
Shit, her truth. She was not going for, she was brainwashed. She was not going for, you didn't know where I was. She was not going for, y'all wasn't trying to set him up. She was not going for none of that. She was adamant in what she felt at that time. Then, maybe she disappeared from me a week or two, or I came back to Chicago, went to New York, whatever, and she flipped. And I had that moment.
And when you say she flipped, what do you mean she flipped?
When she flipped, she started talking about how, I don't think she ever used the word monster, but she kind of like, when she flipped, she started telling stories about how, I remember one part in the kitchen, she was talking about how she would get a beating. And I asked her, well, what is a beating? A beating would be, he would slap me, or he would hit me with lashes. He would hit me 4 or 5 times and then turn it 7 times. And if I looked at somebody when he was walking to the supermarket, this is what would happen. But the first half of that, before he could do no wrong, she was defending him about how he gave her money, how he gave them money. They could shop and do whatever they wanted to do. Why would he have to do something like that? Because he's R. Kelly. It was just like a night and day. So the way I look at things is both days were true for her. It was true when she was lying, and it was true when she was lying some more. So I didn't look at it as between fact and fiction. I looked at it as consistency and character. So you see the type of character that this person has, where she can go from one extreme to another at the end of the day. That takes away all of her credibility. Because which Azrael do we have in court today? That's how I feel.
Or which one do we have on Gayle King?
Exactly. There you go. There you go. You got you now, black man. You listening?
All right. So what year was that when you linked up with Angelo? And
see, this is where you gonna catch me and make it seem funny, dog. I done so much shit. I don't know. I can tell you this. I started fucking with them before Surviving R. Kelly came out. I started fucking with Angelo maybe the first 2 weeks of whatever year that was when it was actually out. When it was actually out.
Was R. Kelly in jail yet?
No.
Did he know about this project?
No. No, I'm lying. He was. This is where you get me because I can't remember things. When I started fucking with them heavy, R. Kelly was in jail. He was definitely in jail. I'm lying. He was definitely in jail. So I can't pinpoint the time frame, but I know it was during the time frame when I think he was probably in jail because I remember a scene where they was throwing bricks or rocks or something at a hotel or some shit because me and some of the niggas was talking about it. And it was around that
time. R. Kelly wasn't in jail when they was acting like they was trying to fucking get in the studio.
No, you know what? And you're probably right, because that's why I said in the beginning, he knew what was coming. We knew what was coming before it came, and we knew what was coming as it was actually out, and he was preparing for it. So when that actually came out, I don't know, but I'm sure some of his fans will look back at the dates. I believe I put out the spot. He was definitely out, but so was Surviving R. Kelly. As a matter of fact,
so he was out, and he didn't know that you was doing
My
this?
dates might. No. When R. Kelly went to jail is when I really started fucking with Angelo heavy. I think R. Kelly might have been in jail for maybe 2 weeks. Maybe the first 2 weeks. The last time he got arrested.
When did you?
You see how he's not answering Choke's question? Choke asked him, did R. Kelly know about the documentary that you were doing? And he's deflecting. He's not answering the question. And so he knew Angelo and Azriel, he said, before the documentary. Then he said he lied. He started messing with them heavily after the fact. I'm confused. This guy is confusing me.
Me and Adriel.
He was walking his dog and got hit and popped off in front of Dunkin' Donuts in Trump Towers.
That's when you met Azriel?
Maybe it was. I didn't meet Azriel first, to be totally honest. I met Angelo first. I went to Angelo. My people had Angelo's information. Nobody had Azriel's number or information because she was in Chicago. She was accessible. She was accessible. I don't really want to go there.
If she was accessible, you would have been able to talk to her, right? As you just said, you weren't able to talk to her, but now you're saying she was accessible. How is that?
Go there, but I'm gonna go there anyway. Like, she was so accessible that I could have got on the phone and called Nicole motherfucking Becker and she'd have put her on the phone for me. How about that?
Nicole Becker?
So there was no need
Wait a
for me
minute.
to do it.
He said he could have just easily called Nicole Becker and could have got Azriel on the phone. Easy. So Nicole Becker was with R. Kelly in 2018 and 17? I'm confused.
Azriel. The key and the person at the
I hate when people talk around in circles without getting straight to the point. Just say what the fuck you gotta say, get straight to the point, let it out. You talk in circles and in tongues and nobody really understand the picture that's going on because you're talking around in circles.
the end of the day was the daddies. Because at the end of the day, I remember first fucking with Angelo. Angelo was fucking with another nigga who got some time for threatening Timothy Savage. We was in Atlanta and dude was having to go to court in New York. I can't remember the nigga's name, but
James Mason.
He was the road manager for R. Kelly for a minute.
James Mason.
I didn't really fuck with him because he was on some other shit. So I didn't fuck with him. So I really don't know nothing about it, but I know he was his road manager. Me and him got into a beef, and one of the reasons why we got into a beef is because when we was trying to set up to do the personalized MTV style documentary, he was trying to tell me some crazy shit about the numbers of R. Kelly and how it was this and how it was that. And in my head, I was like, yo, dog, how you was managing? You talking like that? Like, nigga, you reckless. Like, I forgot this nigga name, but I know he got some time.
Let me ask you this question. All right, so you said you met Angelo first, right?
I did.
So when you first met Angelo, Azriel was still with R. Kelly.
She was. No question. She was definitely with R. Kelly. And the reason why I'm telling you that for sure is because when I first met Angelo was in the process of trying to listen to what I'm saying. He was trying to get her back. And he was calling for permission to go know the spots and where she was at. Some of the times when Angelo,
what do you mean he was trying to get her back when he knew where the fuck she was at? And he sent her to him.
Wait. He knew she was in Chicago.
They signed over the power of attorney allegedly. Joe, so how was he trying to get her back when they sent her, when they knew where she was at?
Listen, he knew where she was at as far as in Chicago. He didn't know her exact location. How I knew that is because the powers that be that was telling him where she was at, there were people from the R. Kelly camp that's ghosts of the R. Kelly camp that let him know, your daughter is here, dog. What is you talking about? Your daughter is in, I got a Shore microphone. She's in the Shore Hotel. That's where your daughter is at. Whatever he had done before that, he was playing both sides. That's how I got in contact with him. She was definitely in Chicago. He definitely knew, but he didn't know her exact location. There were other people who knew her exact location because they were still moving around. He just didn't know her exact location. He might have been able to talk to her, or she could have called him, whatever. But I think it came a point in time where she just said, fuck it. She wouldn't even call him no more because it was creating too much of a nuisance. And during that time was when Timothy Savage was running around with his press conferences in Atlanta and had this female saying this and all that bullshit. And I think she just got tired of the shit. So the best way to handle it was to leave him alone. But with her being tired of it and not wanting to respond, it motivated Angelo and Timothy even more to try to find their daughters because they were ignoring them. And I don't think they could. I can't speak for Timothy because I didn't really fuck with him like that. I fucked with Angelo. I think Angelo's pride took him to a point where he was losing face. So he had to keep up that fraud because it was like, damn, I don't even got the power to get my own daughter back, and I didn't let these niggas know. So it was his motivating factor. But deep down in his heart,
I don't understand why you keep saying, like, I know it ain't your words when you say keep getting my daughter back. Get her back. You took it in. At that point, she was emancipated. So she, like you said, she didn't want to be.
Exactly. So I say that, and that's what I'm saying to you, black man. No disrespect, but listen. Although I may see it one way, that's not exactly what I mean in the traditional sense. When I say get her back, in his mind, get her back, because there was really nothing. If you want to go the way you're going, you are right. There was nothing to get back because she didn't want to be with him. But in his mind, it's like a nigga that's with a girl and the girl don't want to be with him no more. So she go and she move or she go to a shelter, and for whatever reason, this nigga just don't get that he don't want to be with her. So he gonna go search for her. Like dogs, the bitch done took all her clothes. You don't have nowhere to find her, but you still going to look at her mama house talking about where she at. She don't want to be with you, nigga. But he can't get that through his head. Same shit with Angelo and Azriel.
All right, so now when you start doing this this documentary and you start with Angelo, what's the premise of the documentary? Him just getting his daughter back? Did you talk to?
No, the truth is at the beginning, because I wasn't going into just getting the daughter back. I wanted the entire story because there were other people. I had, by this time, Surviving R. Kelly was fresh. I had never really watched it, but I would hear about it. So for me, it was an entire project. That's why I made a 4-part series. It was 3.5 hours long. So I wanted to cover all bases of it. I went to psychologists. I went to the most prestigious black psychologists in America. And I think I went to UCLA, and I had her in there. Then I had another white psychologist. I wanted to make it even so white people and black people could understand. So it wasn't about just him finding his daughter, because it was more to it than that. There are parts in there where it shows the compassion of R. Kelly. When R. Kelly, adopted a young lady that's in Joliet, Illinois, she made herself the president of his fan club. Her mama was dying, and he would call her mama and sing to her. Like, they were just one part of the documentary. They just so happened to be the loudest part of the documentary, but they were just one part of
it. Did R. Kelly get involved in it?
He didn't, but he didn't do it with a sense.
Wait a minute. He adopted Miss Darlene April. Is that what he's saying right now? That R. Kelly adopted Miss April? I cannot. What the fuck?
Where he couldn't because he was locked up, but he knew what was going on because Keith went and told him. Let me tell you something about R. Kelly. One thing about him, this is a fact. If you don't see Keith involved in some shit, 9 times out of 10, Kelly ain't got nothing to do with it. If you see Keith, Kelly know every goddamn thing going, because they have a loyalty and a type of brotherhood and friendship. Whereas if he's against it, he gonna tell Keith dead that. Don't fuck with that. And Keith ain't gonna do it. Keith is in my documentary, dog.
All right, so why did you name it that? Why did you give it that title?
Precedence, because I wanted to show that he was going to create a precedence for black people. Here's what I'm on. I'm pro-black all day, every day. So at the end of the day, when you have some case laws, what happens is if we allow America to come at R. Kelly or any black man in the manner that they came at him, once they find him guilty and convict him, that becomes case law. That sets a precedence for any case to come before that, and they'll use that case law to convict your ass. So in other words, when they have a precedence is if another black man has a similar case, similar characteristics, a district attorney anywhere will be able to look in case law and say, Your Honor, in 2019, in the case of R. Kelly versus the state, yada, 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 yada happened. If those similarities are the same for that black man who is now in front of it, you damn near guilty. So his case sets a precedence for those type of cases everywhere.
Okay.
He's precedent.
Let me ask you this. When you finished the documentary, right? What did you do with it?
Damn, let me think what I did. When you say, well, we bundled it up, packaged it up to put it on the market.
Right.
And when we did that, I remember at first there were other people that were in with me, and it was like, how do we get it major distribution? Because I didn't want to do like we come from. You know, where we come from, you know, you started with VHSs. I did DVDs. You just put the shit on the streets, and that was just gonna be that. So we didn't want to do that because it's R. Kelly. You know, at the end of the day, dog, I don't give a fuck how nobody feel guilty or not guilty. He's one of the greatest musicians to ever live. The nigga's a musical genius. Nobody can take that away from him. And the reason, that's just how I feel. That's what it is. So that alone, just those credentials to me tells me that he has a story that needs to be told to everybody. Because at the end of the day, what people don't understand is this. What he's alleged to have done, R. Kelly did. Okay? Allegedly. Right. From what he's alleged to have done. However, his music ain't do shit. So I don't understand how people can't differentiate between the two. When people say let's put whatever on his music, a boycott of R. Kelly's music is not R. Kelly.
That's because people can't separate the person from the star. You know, that's like we see some people there.
This is. Wow, that was a pretty heavy interview there. I'm going to end it here. We've been on for 2.5 hours. I'm going to end it right here. If you guys did not see the full interview, go check out Choke No Joke. His live is there. It's his interview with Shabazz. Let me put the link in case you guys, no one got a chance to see it. Here's the link in the chat. Please go check it out. Yeah, so Angelo knew a lot. Angelo, he knew a lot. He knew a lot. And he portrayed like he didn't know a lot. You know, that's why a lot of us are so disappointed, because we were all for him. We were rooting for him, you know, especially his daughter. You know, we're really there for his daughter. But as a parent and, you know, giving up another parent's support to help reach out to his daughter and get his daughter away from that man, you know, we advocated for him. We stood by his side. And then later on to find out he's just a straight up street hustler who wanted some fame for his daughter and himself. And we support you, Azriel. We support all the girls. And we are not supporting the parents. We're not here to support the parents. You know, we're here to support the girls at the end of the day. The parents are not the victims. The children are. But we stand by them in support. But when you do things like this, that's just so embarrassing. It's disappointing to hear. And then you turn your backs on us, you know, acting the way you did, doing the things you did. You turned your back on Larry, which I think was not cool at all. And free Sweet McGee. Free Larry. All right, guys, I'm going to end this. Talk to y'all later. Don't forget, guys, to please hit that like button on your way out. Thank you very much. And if you are not part of my membership, please join so you can join my membership where we can do secret lives where I would, you know, throw out certain things that I wouldn't want to be out in public. give you guys little secret hints, plus do book readings, and we'll have live discussions about the books that we read. So if you can, guys, please join the membership. Underneath my name, it should say join, or next to my name, it should say join. It's only $1.99 a month, guys. Thanks for your support. Thanks for watching. Guys, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Share, share, share. Hit the notification bell on the side. Put it on all so you can caption everything that I do as I do it. Thank you, guys. Love yous. Peace.